Welcome back to Riding Bikes in San Diego. Here we are on 70th. We just crossed the 8 from Lake Murray, and usually we climb up that hill in front of us. And I mean, it's okay. It's got a painted bike lane, but there are cracks like every 6 to 8 feet the further right you are. So today I decided I'm going to take Alvarado instead. I've been thinking about this anyway. Plus, I know I'm going to stop at the market that's on SDSU's campus. So rather than go up the block and then come back half a block, I'll just take Alvarado and then I'll go north on College Avenue and I'll get right to that market. The thing that you might notice is that there's no bike lane over here. If this road had a bike lane in both directions, or say a bi-directional bike lane on the north side, which is over to the left, I would ride this almost every day. But it's pretty quiet. There are some restaurants over here that attract some traffic, and there's going to be residential coming up on the left side, and of course that has people living there, and those people have cars. But for the most part, this is a pretty quiet road. The drawback is that sometimes people do come up and they want to go faster than maybe they should. But we get parking on both sides here. Puts me at risk of being in the door zone. I'm also negotiating a pretty bumpy bunch of pavement here. So, I'd like to be a little further left, but the road quality isn't that great. And you might also notice that there are trolley tracks along the side of us. We're going to be coming up to a trolley station, and I wish that there was a path going over the 8 getting there so that people in Del Cerro could connect to that. You might see a driver behind me there. And, I don't want to be in their way, but this is the space we have, so I'm going to use it. And the driver's going to get impatient, and they're going to go around me. And we're going to come up to a traffic light, so I feel like you already know what's going to happen. They were in such a hurry, they went past me, but now they're stuck at the red. And spoiler, it's not going to turn green until we get there. We have nothing to do with that, but this is the nature of driving in cities. When you drive in cities, there are stop signs and there are traffic lights, and driving isn't always faster than riding a bike. See ya. They're going to go up Reservoir there, and now a painted bike lane starts. And it's better than nothing, but the reason I take this road is because this painted bike lane starts up. It does connect to the trolley here. This is the station off to the right, and I guess it makes sense. There's also a painted bike lane on the other side of the road. I guess it makes sense having the bike lanes just on this section of Alvarado, because I guess the idea would be people take the trolley, they get off with their bicycles, and then now they can use these bike lanes to get up to San Diego State, even though San Diego State has their own trolley stop. But whatever, I was not in on these planning meetings, so I'm just trying to make sense of the disconnection in some way. But we ride in this paint, and it's kind of nice. I mean, I haven't ridden this in a very long time. I stopped riding on this maybe a year or two ago, year and a half ago, 2 years ago, just because that stretch without the bike lane is so treacherous. Drivers get so impatient. And it's actually easier to take Montezuma to the library and then go in the back roads and take Saranac to 70th. But sometimes it's worth changing it up. Sometimes we have to change it up. So today happens to be a necessity, but there's a video that's going to come up in a few days where I change my route up because there's a wildfire that is obstructing my normal route. So we'll get to that in a few days. But this bike lane deteriorates in various ways. The pavement is lousy, the paint is faded, and what always gets me is what happens when we get to the freeway, when we get to College Avenue, which happens to be in that magical Caltrans land where Caltrans just hasn't quite figured out yet how they're going to actually make it safe and accommodate everybody. And not busting on Caltrans, I know now they are making efforts, and on the ballot is something that I covered a few days ago where hopefully if we pass a proposition it'll require Caltrans to do things in a more timely manner. So I'm looking forward to that. We get this wall here on the side, which is a barrier for the road that's on the other side of it. But this bike lane is going to come to an end. We're also on a pretty big incline. Somebody on a video from the other day asked why I was riding so slowly, and sometimes it might be hard to tell in the video, but there are a lot of hills in San Diego. There are a lot of canyons and gorges and roads that are responding to that typography, but the bike lane's over. And when the bike lane's over, now I have to negotiate being on the right side here. Luckily, there's a red light coming up. All the drivers are moving slowly. As much as I don't like being in a bunch of car traffic, I am finding more and more that when drivers are made to stand still, it feels a lot safer for me, which of course is intuitive, but worth pointing out anyway. This is how I get up to the light. If I were to make a right, there is no bike paint or infrastructure or anything to make it over the freeway. So I'm making a left, and I have to hope that whoever comes up behind me is not in a super huge hurry to make that turn. And I'm not riding an e-bike on this particular bike. Some days I ride e-bikes, but I'm riding my touring bike, which I love for my little 10-mile tours on my commute. It's a 2015 Jamis Aurora Elite, if anybody watching these videos is like a real bike nerd. But it's got a 3x in the front, 10 in the back, and I really love riding it. It's kind of heavy. It's got mud guards and everything, and when I put my stuff to get to work, it gets heavy, but it's alright. It's got the gears for it. We make the turn onto College, and we land in this silly block-long bike paint, short block. You know, what is that, 50 feet of bike lane, really? And then it goes away. We get some Sharo, and luckily, there's still that green light behind me and the red light holding back the other traffic, so I'm not too worried about drivers coming up on me, and that light usually stays red long enough for me to climb up this beast of a hill and connect with the paint that is going to come up and carry us all the way up to the main part of campus, where I can access the grocery store and get some things for dinner. So from here, I'm just going to drive less and ride a bike. Thanks so much for coming along.